Oh. Okay. Looks like we are live. It's kind of testing something out with this restream. Yeah, looks like we're good here. Double check YouTube. All right, looks like we're good there. Double check and triple check everything here. All right, and we are live in Zoom. All right. I don't think I need to worry about this. Because we're live on both of those platforms. All right. And, yep. So bear with me, if you will, as we get this started. Using a different platform called Restream. So I want to make sure that nothing's going to interrupt what we've got going over the next 2 hours. And make sure that everything's going to stream properly. All right, so if you're hearing me loud and clear wherever you're watching at, I won't be able to pay attention to every single chat. But if you could, just say yes down in the chat area there. If you're watching me live in the Facebook group, I do see 4 people watching at least. Feel free to come into the live Zoom room at thelosttransition.com/live. That's thelosttransition.com/live. Got the Zoom room open there that I'll be answering Q&A with. At the same time, what we're doing is we're streaming in 2 different places right now. We're streaming into the Facebook group for the workshop, and we're also streaming live on my YouTube page. So this should be fun. New, gonna try it out. Should work out just fine. So double check here. All right. So here we go. I'm gonna go ahead and get this show started, if you will. But before I do that, I got to be able to make sure that share my screen here. And I will be going back and forth. Let's see, we'll share this one here. All right. All right. Double check here what we got going on. This is how we do it. Yeah. All right. Looks like we're picking with Crisco here already. So it's kind of neat. If you've never used Restream before, shout out to Restream. I'm checking them out for the first time. I know that there's other competitors that are out there, so I was checking this one out. I kind of like the features. You can stream up to 5 different places, which I know there's other places called StreamYard and some other things like that. OBS. But I'm just trying this one out. I think that it's going to work out for me. So we'll see. You guys should be seeing my screen right now. Looks like everything is coming through, except for in that group there. Hi, Joanne. All right, I see it there. Now, why don't you see? I think what I got to do is share my screen here as well. Chrome, share here. All right. Now let me double check that that worked. Trying to make sure it's all coming through for you guys. Okay. All right. Looks like I got it. Got it worked out. All right. So as we go through this, I do want to let you guys know and preface those of you that are tuning in and watching. I may not be able to see all of the comments right away. I will do my very best to get back to them within respect to whichever group that they're in, whether they're on the Facebook group inside of Zoom and or on YouTube. Part of the reason that I wanted to do this way was to be able to get the information or word out about this sales psychology code workshop that I do once a month. For me, I can tell you before we get started that I'm going to be sharing some information with you guys that if you take notes and you pay attention and you're in the network marketing space or even in sales in general, you're going to learn a lot of things over the next 2 hours. And if you want to join the Q&A afterwards, you'll have to jump into the Zoom room, and that is, again, thelosttransition.com/live. So once I get done with all this information, breaking it down, checking if there's anybody paying attention and stuff, we will end it, and then we'll go live for any questions and answers that you might have there. So if you're watching us live, definitely jump in there before the end of this presentation. If not, make sure you just pay attention to whatever the subtitles and or text is. If you're on YouTube, definitely check the description out if you'd like to join and be a part of what it is that we're doing here, right? So let me go ahead and start by saying, well, who the heck am I, right? This entire presentation is hosted by moi. My name is Robert Blakely, better known as the Blakester. That's kind of my online persona, if you will. And I'm just going to give you a brief story without boring you too much on why you should listen to me about this whole sales psychology code thing that we're talking about here. And we will make sure that I do my best to give you the utmost value out of this presentation and information that I possibly can. One thing that I can say to preface all this, that when you come online and you're one of those internet marketer kind of people, it's typically going to take you anywhere from, well, 5 to 7 years if you don't have the right mentoring and coaching and skill set, all that other stuff. What we plan to do is break that down and make it a lot less manageable. Everybody looks at people that are successful out there online and they think that it's an overnight success. That's not the case, right? So many people that are out there doing very well is because they do have at least 5 years, if not 10 years, maybe even 13 years or more skin in the game, as we call it, right? So with that being said, my name is Robert Blakely. Brief story about myself. I started my entrepreneurial journey back when I was 16 years old as a newspaper carrier in my hometown of El Paso, Texas. In doing that, I learned at a very early age, what entrepreneurship was all about. And it was neat because even back then, I was going door to door selling newspaper subscriptions as well as delivering those. And I found it very pleasurable, very enjoyable, and it was a great thing to be exposed to at a very early age. Fast forward a couple of years, I went into explore the 9 to 5 side of things, right? And that was with my first job at McDonald's. When I went there to McDonald's, I figured that they'd throw me in the back, throw me on the grill, or what have you. That wasn't the case. Right? What they ended up doing was they ended up putting me right up front of everybody, right? So they put me right on the front counter. Shortly after learning the front counter, they put me into the drive-through. I was at one point in time the fastest counter person, fastest drive-through. I knew my stuff. Everything that I've done since I was a very young lad, if you will, I've always done my best to be the best at what I did. So I did very well with that. Of course, they wanted me to learn the back end of everything, and eventually they wanted me to be a manager. But it was at that point in time where I kind of understood, like, excuse me, the difference of working for myself versus working for somebody else. So fast forward into my experience. I ended up doing some telemarketing. Worked for a company back in the day called MCI, to date myself, back when we had friends and family, the Flintstones, for those of you that remember that information. And it was interesting because I was the manager of a team back then, and we were in what was called the saves department. And what that simply meant, that every phone call that myself or my team got was from irate people that were absolutely ready to quit their service, right? So they wanted to quit the service, and they were absolutely irate. And our job was to keep them from canceling. That's in essence what our job was to do. So fast forward a little bit more, went on to grow a lot of teams that were very good at what they did and what we did there. I ended up going into the military after graduating. I was there for 5 years there. I'd learned a lot about team leadership development. I was ready to become a non commissioned officer, and then got really tired of the politics and how things work. That's a horse of a different color and a story for a different time. But I decided to get out of the military. And when I got out of the military, I, at the time, was wondering how I was going to be able to. Oh, no, they cannot hear us. So thank you very much, Kool. So let me back that up. My apologies. I've been talking here for a couple of minutes. So my name is Robert Blakely. We'll start at the very top, and this is kind of why you should listen to me. I've been babbling to myself for the past 10 minutes. Thank you, Kool.
You're welcome.
For letting me know.
Start with me.
No, no, it's definitely me. But thank you so much, dear. Appreciate you popping on. So I'm gonna have to go back and re-explain myself. So my name is Robert Blakely. I'm known as the Blakester. I got that nickname from being in the military. And what I was explaining before I realized that I didn't have audio on is that I started off at a very early age, at the age of 16, doing newspaper carrier as a newspaper carrier. And I loved the fact that I was able to go at that young age, go knocking on doors and sell people subscriptions. And I got a taste of that entrepreneurial spirit, if you will. Fast forward, after doing that for a couple of years, I got a taste of the whole 9 to 5 side of things when I decided to join the McDonald's team way back in the day. And when I went in for that job, I thought that they'd probably put me in the back, cooking the meat or something like that. But they didn't. They actually put me right up front on the counter. They saw that I was really good at what I did. I got really fast and really good at what I did at my job. And they ended up putting me in the drive-through. And then eventually, we had some competitions there at McDonald's. If you know anything about these competitions, you'll know what I'm talking about. They go nationwide, and with that, I actually was the fastest counter person at one point in time, and I also had fastest drive-through. I was dressing up as the hamburger for birthday parties. I was completely into the scene, working my way up into management. At one point in time, though, I learned that whole difference about me working for myself and then versus working for somebody else, especially in the corporate realm of things. And as I look back at it, it's funny and interesting as I look back now. why all the things transpired to where I am now, right? Fast forward, I did some time working for a company called MCI. If you don't know about them, that was way back in the Friends and Family days with the Flintstones, to date myself. And the team that I ran as a manager there, we were in what we call the saves department. And ultimately, our job was to save the customers that were calling in that were completely irate, right? They were calling in, cursing, kicking, screaming, and ready to cancel their service. Our job was to keep them. So we did very well at that. Did some student loan calls, some telemarketing. Went on to help open up a telemarketing center. Trained all the management there. Did some light mechanic work. Went into the military for 5 years. It was there that I learned a lot about leadership development, and I was about ready to get my non-commissioned stripes after those 5 years, but I got really tired of the political stuff. And again, it drew me back to thinking about how somebody else was in control of my destiny and what I wanted to do on a day-to-day basis. So, long story short, I got out of the military and did a little bit of light mechanic work again, managed a mobile lube express. Anytime that I was doing sales, even at the car wash that I did, I was always the person that maintained a very high ticket average. In fact, when it comes to the car wash, I would maintain about a $60 ticket average. So, the car wash was only 14 bucks at the time. I was upselling people on car washes and waxes and fresh fragrance, just everything, right? So the point is that I've always been very good at what I've done. I've gotten really good at my craft and my skill set, and I've been very good at sales my entire life. Fast forward to transitioning into the direct marketing world. I was looking for a job at the time, and I saw an ad in the paper talking about commission sales. And I went and talked to this gentleman. He said, "Well, this is just strictly commission sales. Do you know what that means?" I said, "I think I do. That means that if I don't get any sales, I don't get any commissions." He said, "Yeah, you're right." So I pondered it, like, is this something that I'm going to be able to do? In fact, I had a girlfriend at the time, and minus the kids that were in the picture, and I wasn't sure whether or not I could make this work, but I gave it a shot. I said, if nothing else, I'll learn something from it. And here's what happened. I ended up going there and I was given a presentation. And the presentation was written out in such a way that it had such sales psychology to it to where it just worked, right? And I was told to take this presentation, run it verbatim, and then come back the next day and they would tell me whether or not I got the job. I went back the next day after learning rehearsing till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning because I took it that serious. Came back, did my presentation. They loved it. They were like, "Yeah, we could tell you practice." Got the job, went out, started knocking on doors. So yes, that direct marketing thing to where people go knock on your doors, it's a thing, right? They say that if you do 2 years of direct marketing, it's equivalent to a college degree. I did 20 years of knocking on doors, team building with various different projects and various different companies, right? And we did extremely well in that market as well. So I I learned that if I wanted to write my own paycheck, I understood that point in time where it came down to what we'll call metrics, right, or numbers. And numbers never lie, my friends. But I was able to find out that, okay, if I was making $10 per sale per day, our goal back then, by the way, was $100 per day. If we made $100 per day, we were pretty happy. Mind you, this is 20 plus years ago. $100 a day now isn't that much, but it does change a lot of lives, right? So back to what I was explaining is that if I wanted to get 10 people involved and I closed at a 50% average, that meant I had to talk to 20 people. And guess what? 10 of those people would actually tell me no. So no's are really the foundation of what makes or break a salesperson's career, right? There's so many times that people will get a no, especially as a brand new person coming up in the sales world. I got through all those no's, and then I started going back to my instructors. We'll call them that. I call them mentors, really, and started explaining. Well, they were telling me no. This is why they told me no. We started working through what was called answers to objections, right? Or reasons people tell you no. So I learned those answers to objection, and I was able to learn how to answer the objection and then get quickly back into the conversation or the presentation that I was given in such a way to where we could continue the conversation. And then lo and behold, I was starting to close these people that would normally tell me no. So my closing percentages went up to 70, 80, 90%, and then eventually 100% closing ratio at the door. First visit. Okay. I know this might sound shocking to some of you watching, especially if you're watching on YouTube and you have some experience, but I'm telling you, I did it. You couldn't tell me no. And another beautiful thing was, sí, yo puedo hablar en español también. So even people that were coming to the door that were Hispanic, I was able to close them as well. So I'm telling you all this because I need you to understand where this culmination of information is coming from. It's not just coming out of some book that I read, right? It's not coming from somebody that taught me. It's coming from a multitude of 40 years of personal experience, plus a couple of my mentors that taught me the things that I pass down and teach because they're part of my repertoire. Ultimately, we call this breaking the sales psychology code. Now, these are the things that if I had to start all over again, these are the things that I would want to focus on the most and know before I even got started. And I know I'm kind of preceding myself by saying this, but going back to what I was talking about in my history, we did it. We managed to make it 20 plus years, right? In the interim of that, I decided since I was doing so well in the direct marketing world, I said, well, there's this internet thing that came on board. Let's go over there and let's make some sales, right? If we're closing 100% of the people that we talk to, we should be able to do pretty well online. In fact, the way that I teach and talk to people, it's like bringing more doors together without you having to go out there and knock those doors. You'll understand that later if you continue on with more of the way that I train. But the point being is that when I got over here, I was coming from this pitching and sales environment that I was used to in the direct marketing avenue. And I quickly found out that that was not the right approach when it came to the internet marketing style of things. Right. So that being said, I had to go and suck up my pride. I hired a mentor. I borrowed $1,200 to get the piece that I felt that I needed, uh, so that I could learn what I needed to do to become a successful network marketing entrepreneur. Long story short, I got that training, and at the very beginning, when I got that training, it really didn't sink in. It truly, truly did not sink in completely. Why am I telling you this? Because many times you need to be exposed to the information over and over again before it finally kicks in and finally sinks in. So, part of my mission, my goal all the time is to make sure that I'm that guy that connects those little pieces of the puzzle that once that puzzle and all those pieces are put together, it makes a beautiful picture and it makes the most sense. But for anybody that's watching, whether you're brand new to the industry or whether you've been in the industry for a long time, I trust that you'll get value from this regardless. If you feel that you did get value, as I mentioned before I found out that no one was listening because my audio was off. If you're watching on YouTube, feel free to look in the description down below to get more information or connect with me personally. So, that being said, hope I didn't bore you. We're going to dive into this information. And I want to make sure that you guys take a pen and paper and make sure that you take some notes. If you need to take a screenshot or two, by all means, feel free to do that. I do ask that you do not post this information publicly. Again, this is information that I'm sharing my valuable time with that I've collected. And, you know, people need to be here to be able to learn that information. Okay. So here we go. First thing that we need to talk about, and I know it may sound cliche, but it's important that you understand why. Okay. is a positive attitude. So when I say positive attitude, though, it really needs to run deep when I say positive attitude. And I can tell you stories about how when I came onto the internet marketing world, how even my own stepfather said things like, hey, you need to get a real job. You're never going to make money with that internet marketing stuff, right? All of those negative things that you can come up with, you probably maybe have even heard a couple of them yourself. And I'm telling you right now that it's very discouraging when you hear your own family saying these types of things. But I'm also going to tell you that you can get past that also by maintaining a positive attitude. Your enthusiasm and your energy can greatly influence how customers perceive you and your offering, which can also help get you where you want to be quicker if you have a positive attitude versus worrying about what everybody else is saying around you. So it's important for you to stay positive, stay optimistic and confident in your interactions, and inspire trust in building lasting relationships. I want to discuss this for just a moment. So when I decided that I wanted to transition into this internet marketing world thing, right? And I learned these things, but they didn't really sink in. It was only because that experience some 15 to 17 plus years ago that has helped me be where I am now in the internet marketing world. Remember me saying earlier, before perhaps, that when you see people that are successful in this industry, it didn't just happen overnight. Odds are they've got at least 3 to 5, if not even 10 to 13 years in service. So I started off way back in the day, and I learned a lot of things and made a lot of great connections with some amazing people. And again, this is why I'm where I'm at now in my internet marketing endeavors. When I made those connections many years ago, I always had that positive attitude. It was coming from my military experience, my background, coming from the team and leadership experience that I had. I made some amazing um, relationships, right? And many of those doors I can open you to when you're in my circle of influence and part of my network. So fast forward to what everybody always talks about in this big lap or gap in time called COVID, right? So when all that happened, there was some way. The best way that I can tell you and explain it to you is that I've been very in touch with my universe for many decades. And right before that happened, my life had taken a turn to where I found myself up in the mountains with a friend of mine, completely off grid. So when all that stuff was going on and everybody was panicking, I really wasn't impacted by that at all. Now, fast forward towards the end of things that were happening up there, it's like, well, you know what? I really need to have a little bit of extra income coming in. Even though I was living off grid and I didn't have any type of bills, I still wanted my basic necessities of life, right? Like food and stuff that I couldn't just grow out of the ground. That and other things, right? So within that time frame of me getting back online, and fast forward to literally 4.5, 5 years later, I'm now in the position that I never thought I'd be. And that's married to my absolute favorite love of my life. We just bought a brand new home, and I can't even explain to you how life has changed just in the matter of 4 to 5 years, just because of this one thing and having a positive attitude. So I learned many years ago that no matter what's going on in your life, okay, and I'm going to slow down as I say this so that we understand each other. No matter what's going on in your life, there's a reason that it's going on in your life. The key thing that I learned many years ago that I want to bleed on to you is what's called awareness. If we're never aware of what's going on around us and we just going through the motions, we're never going to be able to change the things around us, right? So, with having a positive attitude and understanding and having awareness, you can literally change your entire scenery. Things around you can change. And look, we have to also understand each other. I'm not telling you that you got to give up your friends and your family that don't support you. But I'm telling you, you don't have to succumb to that negativity. Okay. If you are going into the network marketing space, it's highly recommended that you get some type of space that you do and can flourish in, meaning some type of office environment. Maybe it's a public library or something that somewhere where you feel a safe space, in essence. Okay. But let's maintain that positive attitude because that's what really needs to happen. That's where we start. Now, I want to go into what I call level one listening. Remember back when I started telling you my story about how we were working for MCI and we had all these people that were calling ready to cancel, and they were literally calling us any name in the book, right? In fact, one of my dearest friends that passed away, she said that if she didn't get called bitch at least one time a day, she didn't feel like she was doing her job trying to save that customer. So we learned this thing called level one listening. And by practicing level one listening, marketers aim to gain insights into customer pain points. I need you to understand why I'm telling you all about this level one listening thing. Many of us listen, but many don't hear. We have two ears, but only one mouth. So it's very important for us to understand that as we listen, and the deeper that we listen, i.e., this level one listening that I'm speaking to you about, you're going to gain more insight into customer pain points, their desires, as well as their expectations. Okay. Now, if you're paying attention and you have that awareness that I was just speaking about, this information is used to improve your marketing strategies, product development, and even the customer's experiences themselves. Right? So, level one listening helps marketers understand their target audience better and tailor their approach to meet their specific needs. Overall, level one listening is all about actively engaging with customers, observing their behaviors, and using that information to drive informed decision making and create more effective marketing campaigns. Okay? Everyone clear on that? Now, a little trick for you. I have this pen in my hand for a reason because this is how I learned part of level one listening was there in the call center. And then I learned more about level one listening when it came to the direct marketing side of things, when I learned what we call pen to mouth. Simple technique, sounds funny, but all you got to do is take the clicker part of your pen and just rest it right there on your lip, on your bottom lip. If you're speaking to somebody in public and you have a pen, this is what you do. If you don't have a pen, you'll graduate and you'll do something like this. And as you're listening to that person, you're going to be shaking your head up and down, intently listening to that person. If it's somebody that's on the phone, or maybe you're in a environment to where you're on video, immediately when that other person starts speaking, your mission, your job is to zip your lips, like we used to do back in the olden days. And you don't have to throw away the key. Hold on to the key, but just make sure you zip your lips or use what I'm showing you here with that pen to mouth technique. Shake your head up and down, look intently like you're listening. As they are speaking, have the awareness to listen, not only listen, but hear what that person is telling you. The reason I'm explaining to you this is because if you listen intently enough, they are going to tell you exactly what you need to hear for you to overcome any of those objections that we were talking about earlier. Okay? So, very, very important that we dial in on what I call this level one listening. Okay? Listen intently. And in fact, to dive even deeper, if you're on the phone, you should be listening to what's going on even in the background. Let's say you hear a dog in the background, or maybe they're on the phone with you, but they're kind of half having a conversation with somebody else. Those are things to listen to. If I'm on the phone with somebody and they're haphazardly having a conversation, I'll say, hey, do you want me to let you go? Or have you got a moment? I'm going to let them say what they have to. No, no, just a moment, right? Just talking to so and so, just delivering whatever, right? The point is that I'm going to be listening intently. If I hear a dog bark, oh, you got a dog? Yeah, yeah, I got a dog. That gives me a reason to talk about what I hear. Oh, cool. What kind of dog do you have? And if I have a dog, I can build rapport. I know I'm getting off track, but it's important you understand why level one listening is so important. Because again, they will tell you what you need to hear and what you can use to your advantage. Okay. So make sure we're listening more than we're speaking. There's a time to speak and close the customer, and then there's a time to listen. The time to listen is always over speaking. Okay. Next thing I want to touch on is what we call building rapport. Just double check here that everything's coming through all right. Looks like it is. I don't see the screen's changing. Oh, yeah, I do now. Okay, cool. Double check here. All right, all is good. Okay. Just want to double check that everything's streaming properly. All right, so now building rapport. Okay. Now, rapport is a harmonious and sympathetic connection between you and the other person. I'm going to explain something to you the way that I've figured this out, okay? And and by explaining this to you, it's not to mean that, oh my God, I got to get a better life or anything like that. It's to explain to you that what you've experienced in your life up to this point can be beneficial for you in building rapport.
Thanks, you went away and you're broken up.
Uh-oh.
Can I hear you?
How about now?
Can you
hear me?
Now, there you go.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you. You're able to see my screen too?
You brought up YouTube.
What's that?
Yeah, there you go. It's full screen now. It's full screen now.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, when I only have this screen selected, so you guys only see that instead of the other pages or what have you. Cool. Awesome. Thank you for hanging out and letting me know.
Okay.
So
I'm here.
What I was explaining is that, building rapport can be really easy or really difficult. Based off of what you've experienced in life, you can build up rapport very quickly. The reason that I say this is to kind of explain to you that I can build rapport with just about anybody very, very fast because of the experiences that I've had, right? From being a paper boy to newspaper carrier to MCI to this to that. I've been west to east coast. I've been up to Canada. I spent 5 years in Germany. So when I talk to people and meet them, I can literally build rapport very fast because of my life's experiences, right? So if you haven't had a life's experiences, a bunch of them, I'm not telling you that you can't build rapport very fast, but I'm telling you that this is the key is building rapport with the person. Now, the key ultimately, right, in building that harmonious and sympathetic connection between you and that other person is simply finding three things that are the same or like minded with that person within the first 5 minutes of your conversation. So, if I run into anybody and they're, as an example, they say, "Oh, well, I live in Florida," I'll I'll ask them questions. That's awesome. What part of Florida? I used to live there, and then I'll let them talk, right? And I will what? I'm going to listen. While I'm listening, I'm going to find and pick out little things that I can talk about that will build off of that conversation that will also ultimately help me build more rapport. But by establishing a connection with their potential customer is super duper crucial. The big thing and problem that we have as network marketers is number one, finding potential prospects. But then once you find that potential prospect, what do you say to them, right? What do you talk to them about? or how do you even get them involved into whatever it is that you're doing when it comes to a network marketing side of things, right? But ultimately, as I had just explained, once you ask those questions, you show genuine interest in them. Listen actively and find that common ground that I was talking about. Finding common ground is typically where it starts. But be enthusiastic about your similarities and show genuine interest. It can't be faked, right? It has to be genuine when it comes to that. When you first meet someone in a professional setting, there are three essential factors that drive rapport. Write this down if you need to, or take a screenshot. You need to come across trustworthy, competent, and likable in that order. These factors have been validated by social science research. So it's not something that I'm telling you, okay? This is physically proven by social science research. You need to come across trustworthy, competent, and then likable in that order. So let's dive deeper into those three factors. When it comes to building the rapport, the other person first tries to sense whether or not you're trustworthy. Okay. So just like right now, they're wondering, do you have my interest at heart, or are you here to purely pursue your own aims? Or even to harm my interest? Their brain is asking, are you friend or foe? Based off of the two basic flight responses that we have, fight or flight, right? You can rapidly project trustworthiness by focusing on the other person and their needs, asking thoughtful questions, exhibiting warmth and authenticity, listening deeply, and showing integrity. That's the key word here, folks. Integrity. Sadly, a lot of people run around and they don't have any integrity. And when it comes to that, it just means consistency in your behavior. Right? That's all it comes down to. Are you consistent in your behavior? Now, the second factor that drives rapport is the perceived competence. In a professional setting, people are evaluating if you know what you're talking about. Can you deliver? You can demonstrate competence through professionalism, communicating confidently and clearly, and having thoughtful and informed points of view on interests that are relevant to the topics at hand. Similar to what I explained when you find out that somebody lives somewhere where you did, or somehow that you can add to that conversation, right? Something that's relevant. Now, that third factor is likability. We want to work with people that we like, and also people that are like us. I like to say it, we like people like us, right? So when it comes to that, we want to make sure that we have that filled with ease with them, and we're more open to a relationship if we have that bond and we feel comfortable with that other person. So you accentuate your likability by giving your full attention to the other person, uncovering commonalities and similarities, and showing enthusiasm and passion. Engaging in self disclosure, that is appropriately sharing about yourself, also enhances likability. So I just said appropriately sharing about yourself. This doesn't mean that you need to go in and tell them your entire life story. Okay? That's not what we're talking about here. Talking about simply engaging with them enough so that it's a back and forth conversation. And again, it's important that they know and feel that you're listening to them. Very, very important. Now, ask yourself, in the sales world that you're in right now, are you coming across trustworthy, competent, and likable each time you meet a prospect or a client? I don't know. You're on the other end. But these are things that we need to take a look at if you're not. Now, next topic I want to touch on is super duper important, especially in the social arena, is what we call reciprocity. I'm not going to get super esoterical with you on this one. However, I will tell you this. There are certain laws that the universe functions by. And if you don't know what those laws are, you may want to kind of start exploring what those laws are. One of those laws is the law of reciprocity. Okay? So many times when it comes to this network marketing thing, and part of the reason that I even created and brought this about for everybody is that it's truly dysfunctional in the fact that we're completely taught backwards. And what do I mean by that? Well, we're taught to join this business, and many of us don't have the know how or the knowledge to even build a business, build a team, or any of that stuff. As I mentioned before, many of us don't know how to find a lead. And then if we have a lead, we don't know how to close that lead into our business. Reciprocity is super duper important, as well as all the other things, obviously, that I'm speaking about. But when you look at the universal law of abundance and reciprocity, our nature when we join a network marketing business is not to help other people, sadly, but that's in essence why it's so screwed up, because we don't think of that. What do you mean by that, Robert? Well, what I mean by that is that when we get on board, we're normally in a state of transition, or we're in a state of desperation, if you will, to where we're looking to make a change in our lives. And when we're looking at these different network marketing opportunities, we look at them as, oh, I've got to make some money, instead of flipping the script around and saying, how many people can I help with this? Or who could I help with this particular business opportunity? Now, getting back on track to where we're talking about with the law of reciprocity, there's a thing called give to get. And I learned a lot about this in the direct marketing field. And it was, if you want to get something, universal reciprocity says that you must give something of equal or greater value. So I can tell you a quick, easy way that if I wanted to get something of value, like a person's name as an example, I'm going to give my name first. So think about your daily experiences and how people come up and they're like, "Oh, hi, you. Who are you?" And they typically will ask for your name first, and then think about the psychology side of things, because that's the real deep stuff that we like to teach. They're going to say, well, who are you? Well, reciprocity says that I can go and give to get. Then I'm going to say, hi, my name is Robert, and you are. By giving my name, I'm getting something of value, which is their name. And by grabbing their name, now I have to commit that to memory and use their first name every chance that I need to or have to. So, law of reciprocity is a social psychological principle that states that people have a natural tendency to respond to others' actions with similar actions. Like I explained to you, if I say, hi, my name is Robert, and you are, your natural ability is to spit out your name without even thinking about it. I'm not going to come across creepy, and you're not going to be like, well, who are you? It suggests that when someone does something kind or helpful for us, we feel a social obligation to repay the favor in some way. In the context of marketing and sales, the rule of reciprocity can be used as a persuasive technique. Another example of this we could talk about is liking and commenting on somebody's social post, right? If we go and have that positive attitude and we go and like and comment on somebody's post, now doesn't mean that it's going to happen all the time, because not everybody is in tune with the law of reciprocity. But for those that are in tune with the law of reciprocity, you may find that those people will now start coming and liking and commenting on your posts. So we're not going to get too deep into the social media algorithm and all that nonsense. But reciprocity is very, very important, especially on Facebook. Got to give together. By giving something of value to potential customers without expecting an immediate return, businesses can trigger feelings of gratitude and reciprocity. This can lead to increased goodwill, trust, and a higher likelihood of customers reciprocating by making a purchase or taking desired actions, right? Another example of this is what we would call in the industry a lead magnet. So you're giving something of value up front to get something of value, which is their name and email, so that you can continue building that relationship and ultimately and hopefully getting a sale. Okay. Now, we just discussed give to get, so I don't think we need to go any further on that. Let's move to the next slide. Now, this next part that I'm going to talk to you is really something that When I learned this, it was a game changer for me. And this stuff, I know no one's teaching it out there because I learned it in the direct marketing arena, and it made total sense to me. When I started training other people how to become salespeople, very good ones, I would ask them, I would say, well, how long have you been in sales? And how long have you been in sales? And some of them would give me various times, right? 1 year, just started, 10 years plus. And I would ask them all, if you had to tell me how many different customer types that you would run into on a daily basis, how many different customer types do you think there are? And I would just get crazy answers. Well, 1,052 or, you know, 12, 7, just get all over the place, right? And for those of you that might be responding in the chat, I'm going to simplify your world because once I learned this, it was like, wow, okay, it became really, really simple. And so here's the customer types. And the way that I learned this, I want you to pay close attention to what I'm saying on this part because if you truly get this part, again, this is going to be another one of those pieces to the puzzle that's going to be like an aha moment. And I love those aha moments. The more of those aha moments that you have, the more you're learning, the better that picture becomes. So here are the three, because there's only three different types of customer types that you're ever going to run into, and I'm going to touch on those different ones. Okay? Write it down if you need to. Take a screenshot, whatever the case may be. Sounds simple, doesn't it? Number one, you're a simple customer. Okay? First customer type is what we call the simple customer. Your second customer type is what I call simple but complex. So your second customer type is simple but complex. And your third, I'm just going to flip it around. And your third customer type is going to be complex but simple. Saying, okay, Robert, how is this the magic juice? Right? What is this? Okay, simple but complex, complex but not simple. Oh, but wait, there's more. We're going to equate each one of those to a fruit so that you really get this and understand. So your first customer type is the simple one, right? We're going to equate that simple customer to an apple. How do we eat an apple, boys and girls? Shine it up, wash it off, however you do it, and then just bite right into it, right? Super, super simple. Now, these customers, these simple type, typically are not going to ask a lot of questions. They're very, for lack of better terms, naive in many senses of the word, but they're open to suggestion. They're what they call low hanging fruit. When you hear network marketers speak of that, those are the people that are not afraid to say yes. Okay. And they'll figure it out as they go. The second one, the simple but complex, we're going to equate those to an orange. So, how do we eat an orange, ladies and gentlemen? We have to peel back those layers, right? Once you peel back those layers, you expose the fruit. Now you can partake in the orange. So it's simple, but there's some complexity to it. These types of customers and people are typically going to ask anywhere from 2 to 3 questions, maybe. They are slightly familiar with what's going on. Maybe they've had a little bit of exposure. Somebody's told them something about it, or they've thought about it, but they've been exposed to it somehow, some way, some shape or form or fashion. Now, the third type that we found a lot of when we were getting those phone calls from those people at MCI was what we call the complex but simple were the coconuts. So, how do you eat a coconut, my friend? You had to bash it and crack it open before you can expose the fruits. Now, I want to go even deeper because that's who I am, sales psychology guy for you guys. And I want to go even deeper with this. What I want you to do and take away from this experience that we're having right now is I want you to start thinking moving forward from this point moment forward. The next person that you talk to when you're having that conversation, I want you to think, are they an apple? Are they an orange? Or are they a coconut? Okay? Now, let me get even deeper why I'm telling you this. We as humans are creatures of habit. So, what you will find is you will find that a lot of the apples will say and do the exact same things almost to the letter. Oranges will do and say the exact same things almost to the letter. Coconuts will say and do things almost to the letter. What does that mean, Robert? What are you telling me? Well, I'm telling you that by knowing this information, I can quickly identify and spot an orange within the first 2 or 3 sentences because the behavioral characteristics that they show me based off of my life's experience and the people that I've talked to. Now, remember, I told you I did direct marketing for over 20 years. Remember, I told you I did telemarketing. Didn't tell you how long, but it was a long time, many, many years. I've talked to thousands upon thousands of customers, and it all is the same. They're all going to be either simple but complex, or complex but simple. As you have the conversations with them, you will also then know how to tailor your conversation and your script to be able to benefit you to help get those oranges over the buying line, is like what I like to call it, that I'll talk about, right? And be able to get those coconuts also over the buying line. So I'll tell you a quick story. I was out doing our electricity gig one day, training a team of people. We were walking door to door. I had 5 people, could have been 6, but there was 5 people plus myself, and I had to train them on going to door, talk to these people. As I was walking up to this person's house, they were sitting on the porch, and they said, "No, no, 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 no," before we even got there. I'm like, oh my God, I got 5 people here watching me. Robert, what are you going to do with this one? So I sat down next to the guy, thought, okay, what did I learn already? I started building rapport. I said, oh, you must think that we're here to sell you something, right? He said, yeah, well, you must be. I said, no, no, not, that's not how this worked. And immediately, because of the way that my script was structured, I was able to grab his attention, pique his curiosity, and bring him into my script. Right? End of the conversation. He understood exactly what we were there for. He knew that it was for his benefit. He was going to save money. He signed the form. He said yes. We walked away, and he was saying, "Thank you, Robert." Now, I'm pointing this out because I need you to understand that's pretty pivotal right there. To be walking up to somebody with 6 people, this guy's telling me no before he even knows what we're talking about, and then walking away with the sale. If you think that's cool, I got a bunch more stories that I could tell you that are similar to that. But again, it's understanding how to break down that coconut to make him very easy and more simple, if you will, to where he at one point just became putty in my hands. If you understand these different types of customer types and you pay attention and have that awareness and start figuring out, okay, well, this person's an orange, I need to kind of caress it a little bit. This person's a coconut, he's going to take a little bit longer before they say yes. He may even have some objections. Okay? So take that information, use it to your benefit. You're welcome. That alone, that alone can make you hundreds, if not thousands, of dollars just by understanding the customer types. So don't overthink it. There's, if you were saying 10 or 12 or 1,032 when we first started this portion of it, don't overthink it. There's only 3. Again, you're welcome. Now, I wanted to go into what I like to call forbidden words. This is super, super important, especially in the world of sales, because many times it's, again, our mouth from speaking too much or saying the wrong things that's going to trigger what I like to call disinterest within that potential customer's mind. Okay. So I'm going to go over these forbidden words with you. These are things that I've learned over the course of my tenure. Uh, And I'm going to even give you some replacement or filler words so that you don't have to worry about, well, what am I going to say instead kind of thing, right? Some of these words I'm going to tell you before we even get started. You might even think they're a little bit controversial. And trust me, you'll understand what I mean by that when we get to it. But there's a reason that I'm explaining this to you. And as in this workshop, I want to give anybody that's watching this the best information that I possibly can so that you have the right stuff up here to get started on your journey. Forbidden words is one thing that many of my students absolutely love, as well as all the other things that they learn from me, because it just makes sense. Okay? Because it's no secret that words are powerful, right? They're a powerful tool to build up or even tear down, to encourage or dissuade. In sales pitches, word choice can mean the difference between a closed deal and an ignored follow up email. But what words should you avoid in your sales pitch? That's what we're going to cover right now. First one I want to talk about is honestly. Honestly, write this word down. Don't say the word honestly. When, we're not saying that you should lie to your prospect, but honesty is not a word that belongs in your sales pitch or your vocabulary, quite honestly. The more you talk about your honesty, the less trustworthy you may seem to a prospect. So, those of you that are watching, and you caught yourself, you're like, oh my God, I say this all the time, right? Now you know why you need to get rid of this word. The more you say it, the less trustworthy you seem to a prospect. Plus, when you use honestly in your presentation, you imply that everything that you previously said wasn't truthful. Now, this is from a sales psychology perspective, remember. So instead of saying honesty or honestly, use the word or words like absolutely, or in all actuality, or quite frankly. Quite frankly, my darling, I don't give a damn. Even that, quite frankly, works way better than honestly. Okay? So write that down if you need to. I would write it down. Next word is more for somebody that may be doing direct sales that comes up with the contract or the word contract because there's an agreement that needs to be done or a partnering to work together. But when discussing the contract, you're emphasizing the business transaction rather than it being a relationship, right? So if I say contract, that can you sign this contract, then it's more business transactions than showing a business relationship transaction, right? But words like those can make your prospects feel like they're just a number to you. A better phrase, as I mentioned, would be partnering with us or working together. Hey, it's going to be great working together. Just need your okay right here. And while a contract seems final, something like an agreement can emphasize the partnership piece of the deal. Just need your okay on the agreement right here. But don't call it a contract. These are part of the forbidden words. Next word is going to be signature. People have a tendency to associate that word with sacrifice or a negative feeling or being trapped. Instead of using the word signature, try using words like, let me get your okay right here. I just demonstrated that right back when I was talking about contract, right? Just need your okay right here. I'll put a little X where I want them to sign. I'll give them what we call pen to chest, give them the form, and I'm not going to make any eye contact with them. I'm going to let them give me their okay, and then I'm going to get the paperwork back from them. That entire time, I want you to make note that entire time, if you're doing this in a direct environment, you are not going to make eye contact with that person. If you make eye contact with that person in between giving them the form for them to fill out or get their okay on, you could cause disinterest in the brain. Make sure we're clear about that. Don't come back and say, well, Robert, you didn't tell me this part. No, I just did. Right. Buy is another word, probably the most important word to avoid. You never want to come across as pushy, so avoid words like purchase, acquire, or anything else that sounds like you're trying to get someone to part with their hard earned money. Instead of buy, try invest in. Even invest in is a little shady or shaky. If you have too many people that you're talking about investments or the Bitcoin stuff, whatever, right? So do your best not to use the word buy in general, right? You can use things like, so what did you like best about the presentation? You always hear a lot of people tell you that, right? When's the best time to get started? That's a beautiful question and a gold little nugget I'll drop on your lap there. When do you think the best time to get started would be? They say now, get them to your checkout. More on forbidden words. Here is the word that I absolutely, it's like fear and loathing in Las Vegas with this word. I absolutely loathe this word. If you're saying it and you're catching yourself and you're like, oh crap, Robert, I say this all the time, stop it. I was going to say another forbidden word that you're going to see here in a moment, but stop it. If you are saying and using the word basically, you need to stop it immediately. Using this word tells the listener that you're unsure of what you're even talking about and attempting to minimize the conversation, which is something you don't want to do. Instead, try using this. Instead of saying basically, here's what you replace it with. So you guys that are saying basically, you're welcome for this. This is, again, worth hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. Instead of you saying basically, put off to the side equals or greater than, however you're going to remember it, use here's how it works. It's real simple. So instead of you going out there sounding like a clown, well, basically the comp structure works because it's a binary. And basically, when you put one person on this side, OMG, stop saying that word. Ouch. Instead, be very clear and concise on your directions and say, here's how it works. It's real simple. Know and understand your comp plan so that you give them clear and concise directions. But for the love of God, get rid of the word basically. Okay, it's going to do a couple of things. It will get their attention, number one, and it's going to reaffirm to them that it's simple. If a person thinks that it's simple, they're less likely to say no. I'll say that again. Reaffirm that it's simple. If you affirm that it's simple, they are less likely to tell you no. Remember, it's psychology stuff I'm trying to teach you here. If it seems difficult to them, they're going to say no. They're going to give you an excuse. They're going to tell you, I don't have the money. They're going to say, I got to talk to my wife. They're going to say, I don't have the time. It's all excuses because you triggered disinterest into their brain, even just on the words that you say. Okay? So this is why it's super important that you understand all this stuff too. Now, here's the fun part. Here's the conspiratorial part. Sir and ma'am. I know. What are you telling me, Robert? I can't say sir or ma'am anymore. No, I'm not telling you that. And yes, I know we were all brought up properly, right? With manners, morals, values, and scruples. At least I hope we all were. Sir or ma'am has no place in the sales world. I don't care what level you're at, what your CEO, none of that has zero place. Okay? Here's why. Proper manners or not, these words give a subservient vibe in the sales process. And just in general, you're putting yourself as subservient to somebody. The moment that you say sir or ma'am to somebody else, what are you doing? Think about it. You're putting that person up on a pedestal. You're saying you are beneath them. You are becoming subservient to them. It's not cool. You're never going to get anywhere that way. You're not going to be able to bring somebody that you put on a pedestal down to your level because you already put them up on a pedestal. Make sense? Now, if you keep them at the same level and saying, hey, we are equals, Even if he is a high-ranking CEO, I don't care whether he makes $1 million or not. We still put our pants on the same way, right? Except I jump in both legs. Right? You need to be equal with that person, though, eye to eye, if you will. Instead, use that person's first name, as I mentioned before. Use your name in the give to get reciprocity. Say, hey, my name is Robert, and you are. Now we get that person's name, and we use that person's name instead of saying yes, sir, yes, ma'am, no, sir, no, ma'am. Okay. When someone uses your first name, it grabs your attention immediately, which turns on their hearing for what you're going to say next. Right? And you think about that, we've all been conditioned to respond to our name since what? Since we were babies. If I say sir, ma'am, and I'm in a crowded room of guys, who knows who's going to turn around? If I say Jack, well, Jack's going to turn around because he recognizes his name. But we should not be saying sir or ma'am in the sales process because why? We put ourselves as subservient to the person on the other end of that process. You're welcome. Here's another one. I know. Robert, you're killing me. Even the word please should not be used in a sales format. Saying please in the sales process is subsequently related to sounding desperate or begging, and it removes you from your assertive position. You can never be in an assertive position if you say the word please. It'll never happen. Immediately when you say the word please, it implies begging. It triggers something in the mind that many people will be like, well, now you're begging. And it will again trigger that disinterest that you don't need to be triggering. Okay? So do not say please within the sales process. In fact, it's very rare if you ever hear me say the word please. And this is why. Okay? But we'll dig even deeper because it goes even deeper than that. How about thank you? What? Now I can't say sir, ma'am. I can't say please, can't say thank you. No, I'm not telling you that. I'm saying still be cordial, still be respectful, but add what I'm telling you so that it works more effectively. Instead of sir or ma'am, get their first name. You'll find that you'll have a better conversation with that person. Instead of saying please, right? Say, would you just or could you just? Hey, could you just take a look at this for me? Would you just grab that for me? Thank you. Again, this is the same vibe as please, right? Saying full thank you, the words, two syllables, thank you in the sales process could potentially create a reverse reciprocity mindset. Even though you may be grateful for something they did or said, you don't want to lose posture, right? As well as your assertive position, along with the words please. You have to maintain that posture during that process. Instead, say thanks to thank them in advance. So, how that would look together is if I would want somebody to grab something, maybe, and I'm telling you guys, this stuff works 1000%. If I'm standing here and you're standing there, and there's something near you, I can ask you to grab that for me, and you're going to grab it. I'm not going to say please, and I'm not going to say thank you. I'm going to say, hey, could you grab that pen for me? Thanks. Never using the word please, never using the word thank you. And you will go and you will grab that pen and you will give it to me and you will not know why. Okay? It's like some Jedi mind trick stuff. Understanding how the subconscious mind speaks to the conscious mind and understanding how to utilize that to your benefit can have a profound impact on your business and how often people say yes to you versus no. These are again the reasons why I'm doing this is because a lot of people don't know this and no one's teaching this. So you're welcome. Forbidden words, a little bit more. We're almost done with this, but ums and ahs, right? So if you're out there and we all start someplace, and there's always going to be that point of nervousness or scaredness, especially when you're first starting, right? And if you're doing your conversation, you're finding that you're doing a bunch of ums and ahs, you have to be careful because those are just filler words and it implies that you don't know what you're talking about. Also shows lack of confidence. Your words should flow steady, even if you need to slow down or even elongate your words with proper breathing. Yes, breathing is important too, but don't think so much, right? Also, it helps practice speaking on what your expertise is. So, if I'm going to go give any kind of presentation, before I'm doing that presentation, I'm going to think about what are the words that are even going to come out of my mouth. How am I going to explain those? Just so that I have an idea or a structure of what I want to say. Then from there, I'm going to get out of my head and into my heart, and I'm just going to let it flow. And if I do that and I get out of my head and into my heart and I let it flow, there's going to be less ums and ahs because I'm not having to think about what I need to say. So be very careful with the ums and ahs. I can tell you right now, going back to many presentations that I've gotten onto, even Zoom calls, and this is how it works for me. And I'm telling you, if I'm the, I can't be the only person. If I get on a Zoom and I hear a person that's presenting say and ah, I start counting how many times they say and ah. I've been in a presentation before where the guy said and ah at least 10 times. But I've had them say ums and ahs at least 10 times before I'm just like, okay, I just can't handle it anymore. So the point of what I'm saying is that if you're not clear and you don't understand, you're giving those ums and ahs, you're going to turn people off. It's going to cause that disinterest in the brain that I keep talking about. Kulei, am I coming through okay?
You are.
Okay, cool. I think Siri just tried to pop up and I didn't want her to. All right. So moving on. Here's a bonus tip. Okay. During a face to face meeting for direct selling, try to use give to get method of beginning a conversation. So, example, as I've said before, hi, my name is Robert, and you are. So when I'm doing this, especially if I'm doing it face to face, I need you to understand the dynamics of this and how it works so that you can have it work beneficially for you. When you're in a public environment, you're speaking to somebody door to door or even, out in the wild, out in the public, right? I mentioned earlier when it came to signing contracts that there's even a point in time where eye contact matters. And there's a point in time where eye contact like shouldn't be had is what I'm getting at. So that being said, when I'm going and using reciprocity to give somebody's name, I don't make direct eye contact at them the whole time that I'm speaking to them. So I want to be clear on how I do this and how you can do this to make it beneficial for you. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to look at them eye to eye. I'm going to say, "Oh, hi." I'll do an open hand. "Oh, hi." Eye to eye. Now I'm going to say, "My name is Robert." As I'm saying, "My name is Robert," I'm looking down at my hand and I'm extending it out. So, "Oh, hi, my name is Robert." And I'm not going to make eye contact. I'm telling you guys, it might seem weird first time. If you do it the right way, they're going to grab it right away. If they don't grab it right away, it's going to feel weird, but keep your eye focused on your hand. Once they grab your hand, that's when you're going to say, and look at them in the eye again and say, "And you are," with a little bit of a smile. So I'm going to repeat that for you. "Oh, hi, my name is Robert, and you are," okay? There's a point in time where you're going to make eye contact at the very beginning when you initiate the conversation. "Hi, my name is Robert." Moves down to your hand, stare at your hand, outreach your hand so that they can grab it. Their natural reaction, if you do this the right way, which happens all the time, you just don't realize it because you didn't have the awareness. They will reach out and they will grab your hand. When they grab your hand, that is when you look up at them and you say, "And you are," and they will magically spit out their name. Okay. Now you also have the full attention from that introduction. You're already giving off the confidence required to move forward with the conversation for a more positive outcome. Even that first initial reaction, guys, I can't express to you, and I tell people this all the time, and it makes the most sense. You never will get a second chance to make a first impression. So your first impression needs to be dead on and it needs to be solid. It needs to be right. You need to be positioned right. You need to have your authority. You need to know your stuff and coming across as confident, trustworthy, and relatable. Okay. Now, this is also that form of posturing, as I mentioned, placing you in the assertive position, which places you in control. And that's my 2 cents on this. Now, let's go into and move into tonal scale and patterns because realistically, it comes down to communication, guys. Okay. When you look at this industry as a whole, it's not about pitching and selling. It's more so about, it's more so public, uh, personal development, excuse me. Right? How can you become a better person than you were yesterday? Right? How can you become that person, that shining light, that beacon of hope for other people to be able to follow you on your journey or for you to help them on their journey? Right? So it comes down to communication. And I normally say this at the beginning of the presentation, but I say it now because it's the appropriate timing. I think that this is the problem right here. Because of technology and its advancement, the use of the cell phone, many of us are now losing the basic art of communication. Many of us are sitting there trying to text a conversation, trying to close a customer when it doesn't work that way. You literally want to simply pique their interest and then get them off of Facebook, off of YouTube, off of LinkedIn, wherever that platform is, and onto a phone, onto a Zoom, onto a video, any one of those things, right? So tonal scale and patterns are important as well to know and understand going into this. I'm going to do my best to go through these slides pretty quick, just in the interest of time here. Okay. Let me see. One, two. Yep. So there are 8 main tonal patterns that sales reps might use throughout the sales conversation. The best ones for each scenario will depend on the sales rep relationship with the client, the type of deal, and which stage of the sales process is occurring. So you have on the left, you have scarcity, urgency. On the left, reasonable, absolute certainty, and I care. On the right, you have using the question, series of 3 up tones, the presupposing tones, and I really want to know. Now, when it comes to this, starting off at the very top with scarcity and urgency, a tone that conveys scarcity and urgency can be very useful in convincing a prospect to decide quickly. This is a good tone to use when you're offering special deals or promotions. To convey urgency, lower the tone, lower the volume of your tone, and slow down your rate of speech. This helps demonstrate the seriousness of the deadline. So, as an example, at the end of this presentation, you'll see what I'm talking about. Okay? You can also strengthen the effectiveness of this tone by adding verbal scarcity. By the way, there are only 10 left. And or information scarcity. Haven't shared this with anyone else yet, but we're raising the price on this offer next month. Tonal scale and patterns. Number 2 is reasonable. A reasonable tone shows the prospect that you understand where they're coming from and share their point of view or concerns. This helps the prospect feel like you're on their side and builds rapport. To add reasonability to your tone, ask affirming questions with a raised inflection at the end, such as, does that make sense? Now, I want you to know and understand that does that make sense? I want you to write that down because you're going to hear it now moving forward. If you have the awareness, you're going to hear a lot of marketers, professional marketers, use that. That is what I call a check back. You're going to want to know that for later. Okay. But if you notice, you will also, if you really pay attention, there's a lot of people in the basic fundamental communication skills that will raise the tone of their voice at the end of their sentence, and it will automatically sound like a question. Now, you want to be very careful not to do that. A lot of this, the best way I can put it is remember California Girls, like, oh my God, like if you raise it at the end, if you're raising your tonal inflection at the very end, it now becomes more of a question. And again, you will cause that disinterest in the brain. Okay. But let's use, does that make sense? Now we have absolute certainty. A tone of absolute certainty portrays confidence and can help you seem like you're an expert in your field. This tone is especially effective if you truly believe that your offer is the most ideal solution for the prospect with whom you're speaking. So make sure you do your research on which features and benefits would resonate most strongly with each individual prospect. I could go deep into this, but we don't have the time for that. Okay. That comes in with building the relationship and building that rapport. Now, to convey a tone of certainty, speak calmly, slightly softer than normal, and succinctly. Number 4, I care. Caring tone goes a long way in deepening the relationship between buyer and seller. It helps demonstrate empathy and shows the customer that you understand their concerns and value their experience. To help convey a sense of caring, use an upbeat and excited tone of voice and pay careful attention to the prospect's emotional cues and respond accordingly. Again, level 1 listening, paying attention to what they're doing. Active listening skills can really help you nail a caring tone. Number 5, using a question. Asking questions with a certain tone can communicate a lot more than just an answer. Asking quick yes or no questions, especially with the raised inflection at the end, can create an atmosphere of familiarity and alignment with the prospect. Using a question like that, what we're talking about, can also be used to build what we call a yes momentum by using 3 questions that are designed appropriately for the prospect. Raising the tonal inflection at the end can help you get over that hump of that person saying no, and again, get more yeses. And that's what we're going for. Less no's and more yeses. This tone can also be a good way to get more information from the prospect without wasting a lot of time. Now, moving on to number 6, series of 3 uptones. I'll give you an example on these. One specific strategy when it comes to tonality in scales is to ask a series of 3 questions, each of which ends with the higher octave than the last. The key here is to make sure the 3 questions can easily be responded to in the affirmative. These micro agreements can help the prospect feel like you truly understand their pain points and needs and make them more inclined to trust and agree with you. Now, I want to preface real quickly, in case you don't know, okay, because I can't take it for granted that you know. There are 2 different types of questions that you'll ever ask in your life. Just keep things simple, right? You have what's called an open-ended question and a closed-ended question. Your closed-ended question is designed to get just a yes or no. Your open-ended question, obviously, they can go anywhere with it. So you want to do 3 closed-ended questions designed to get a yes or no. Primarily, the overall objective and goal is to have those 3 questions to where the prospect will say yes. Are you having a hard time remembering to send follow-ups in a timely manner? Excuse me. Why, yes, right? Wouldn't it be easier if you had a platform that sent them automatically? Would it be helpful if it also included a feature for saving winning templates that you can use over and over again? Now, if you said yes to all 3 of those, then this is exactly what I'm talking about, right? Close-ended questions to get you to say yes. That also pre-qualifies you for something that I have that you need. Okay? The prospect is likely to answer yes to all those questions, which is subconsciously help them feel understood and make it more likely for them to continue saying yes. So what we're really doing in these three questions is what's known as speaking to the pain of the market, right? We're actively speaking to our target market, and if they say yes, well, these are the questions that they answer, then those are our potential target market, right? Just to break that down. Now, there is the presupposing tone. Presupposing tone is one that implies that you already know what the prospect needs and what they will benefit from using your product. This tone of voice can help you seem like an expert in your field. I could go deep on a rabbit hole on this one, but again, it's mostly you knowing your stuff, right? Knowing the company, knowing the product, knowing your compensation plan, knowing that the person that you're talking to, here's the big part, actually needs what it is that you're selling. Because you have to understand that not everyone is your customer. Okay? Not everyone is your customer. Now, this tone is one that can be easily applied to with other tonal strategies like the absolute certainty and or using a question. Number 8, I really want to know. A tone that says, I really want to know, shows the prospect that you care about their feelings, thoughts, needs, and buying experience. On a tonal scale of 1 to 10, where should you be? So here's what I want to show you and explain and why I teach this whole tonal scale thing. If you look at the tonal scale from left to right, or right to left, however you're looking on this, left is going to be a 0, right is going to be a 10. 0 is dead, right? Nothing's happening there. There's no tonal, you're not hearing a thing. 10 is, oh my God, I can't believe this. Is just way off the Richter scale, and charts are way over here, right? Where you really want to be when you're doing any kind of presentations is right where I'm at right now, which is right in the middle, which is at a 5, which is what I like to call disinterest. Okay. The reason that we have disinterest in this is that we're simply here to give the information. What you do with that information is totally up to you. If I go and I get too excited and I start raising my voice and my tone scale to a 6 or a 7, then I start becoming way too happy. Then I'm going to cause confusion in your mind. I'm going to cause disinterest. You're going to think, oh, this guy just wants to sell me something. Okay. So whenever you're presenting or you're doing a conversation about sales, your tonal scale should be right there at a 5, no more than a 6. You can get slightly excited about it, but once you get excited, you start seeing that. You go, oh, let me come down a little bit. Some of you guys watching this, especially on the replay, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about, or you've ran into that situation. If you get too excited, you can also scare the person off, right? And I've seen that happen time and time again. Now, let me talk about one of my favorite things, and that's overcoming objections in advance. What if I could show you or teach you how to overcome objections in advance? Will that be helpful for you? I'm agreeing that everybody would say yes or hell yes, right? So, in my direct marketing experience, as I explained to you before, I started learning why these people were telling me no, why they were giving me these AKA excuses, also known as objections, right? When I started learning these, it became very clear what I needed to do. When I moved into the network marketing space, it was very clear on how I was able to take the information that I'd learned that couldn't really sink in completely, and then take the information that I learned from the direct marketing space, intertwine them in such a way so that it all made sense, right? And I was able to overcome objections in advance, which therefore started building up and giving me those closing percentages again that I spoke to before. To where now, if I do a presentation, I close at 90 to, well, I say 95 to 98% of the time. Not many people tell me no. It's just difficult when you learn these things that I'm explaining to you and you present the information to the right people the right way. And it seems as if it's a win-win situation. People can't say no, my friends. It's getting them to that point, and that's again what no one else is teaching. So let's discuss the top three objections that you're going to get, right? I mentioned them before, and that's number one is time, number two is money, and number three is their spouse, right? Or their significant other. Now, there are two things that we have to solve in the network marketing space, as dysfunctional as it is, right? The big thing that we had to have is number one, we had to have leads coming into our business. That means brick and mortar or not, people coming through the door or people looking at or being exposed to your business opportunity. And the second biggest thing we have to solve or overcome is money. Earlier, I told you that not everyone is your customer. This is very true. So there's things that you could do and questions that you can ask to pre-qualify people, which is something that we like to do, so that you don't run into those people that are telling you, well, I don't have the money. So if you're talking to people that don't have the money, you're talking to the wrong people. Right? Remember I said not everybody is a customer? You're talking to the wrong people. So time, money, and spouse are the biggest things that we need to overcome as far as objections. One of those things when it comes to as far as time is finding out what they're doing at a specific time that's your presentation. This is digging deep here and dropping you some gold nuggets. Please pay attention. If you know that you've got a presentation, let's say Wednesday at 8 p.m., normal reaction for somebody is to say to somebody, let's say I'm talking to a guy named Kurt, I'll be like, hey, Kurt, we're having a presentation tonight at 8 p.m. Can you jump on it? That's the normal behavior, right? Remember, it's all dysfunctional. In order for you to avoid him saying, well, no, I'm busy tonight. I don't know. Maybe I got a date with my girlfriend or whatever the case may be. To overcome that objection, I want to find out what they have as far as time. So I'm going to ask them instead of what I just asked, I'm going to say, hey, what are you doing tonight at 8 o'clock? I want them to say, well, nothing really, because what are they doing really unless they're busy? If they're busy, they're going to tell me. If they're not busy, then boom. That means that they really can't tell me no if we have built a good relationship for them to get on this said presentation if it makes sense for them and they've already told me that they've got the time. Does that make sense? So we're circumventing, we're getting around that objection in advance before they even pull that objection out of their pocket. When it comes to number two and the money thing, that's where it comes in the whole questions that we ask, that we can ask people to see if they have that kind of money, right? And then third is the spouse. So if I know as I'm talking through this conversation and building up a rapport and a relationship with the person that I'm talking to on the other end, and they for some reason say, yeah, well, my wife, they mentioned the wife more than 2 or 3 times, that tells me that they are not the decision makers. That tells me that I'm speaking to the wrong person. I need to include the significant other. So once I figure out, well, of course, whether they're an apple, orange, or coconut, and whether or not it's their spouse is going to be involved, if their spouse is going to be involved, it's very important that you include them right away. What do you mean by that, Robert? I would then ask Kevin, if he's got a wife, say, hey, what are you and the wife doing at 8 o'clock tonight? Using the same strategy that I just explained to you to find out that they're not doing anything. Say, hey, do me a favor. Would you jump on this presentation? Just take a look at it for me. I think that you guys might find this pretty attractive. Well, what is it? What is it? You know what? I'm brand new to it, so I'm not going to butcher it. Just can you jump on maybe 15, 20 minutes? Right? And ultimately, you've gotten rid of the objection. You've got the right people there. You know that they have money. The spouse is there, so she can make the informational decision based off of the information that they see, right? Now they both attend, they get the information, they love it. It's hard for them to say no if it makes sense, if it looks as a win-win situation. Okay. So these are little tactics and things that you can use to overcome those objections in advance. You're welcome. Another hundred thousands of dollars you can make off of that. Okay. Now the buying line. This is another favorite of mine. Oh, this is I love this. I'm gonna do my best to get through this too because of the interest of time and the technical difficulties that we had at the very beginning. This portion is what I like to call the buying line. Okay. Here's how it works. It's real simple. Right now, you should be seeing this diagram. You see the buying line. Well, I want to probably say, well, what is it and how does it work, right? This diagram is the best way that I could put it into terms that you can physically see what it is that I'm talking about. So you have that red line there, that red dash line. That is what we call the buying line. All of your money is above that buying line. That's where a buyer makes a buying decision. They have to be above what I call that buying line. Okay. But now it's not a physical line that you can see like you can here in this presentation. Now, to make sure that we're very clear, it's an emotional line or an emotional range that consumer needs to be above before they make that purchasing decision. Here's the best way that I can explain it to you. You got 20 bucks in your pocket. You need something at Walmart. You go to Walmart. I don't know. We're just making stuff up here. It's a pen, right? All right, I got the pen. The moment that you grab that pen and you put it into your shopping cart, you are above that buying line. Now, what happens in life, we have two options, right? We can sit there and we can go check out, or we can go mosey on around and look at different stuff. If we go moseying around and look at different stuff, maybe there's something else that we find that we need, right? Oh man, I need this to hold my cell phone. So I need this more than I need that. The moment this comes out of our basket, we fall below the buying line. Or maybe it stays in our basket, but we go above the buying line for this, and we add both of them. Understand? But the moment anything comes out of that basket or goes behind or below that buying line is the moment that it goes away, and it's not going to be bought. Right? So understanding this and why I'm explaining this to you is the biggest problem that network marketers or even salespeople have is that they talk too much. And they don't understand when that person is emotionally above the buying line and ready to order. And if you don't recognize this and you continue to talk, then at that particular point in time, you could again cause disinterest in the brain, which could have a complete 360 for you. And you could literally lose the sale right when you think that you've got it because of not understanding how this buying line works. Okay. So the way that it works, it's real simple. It's that imaginary line that I said, but all customers have to be above in order to make that purchase. It's an emotional buildup that must occur throughout your presentation. And you're going to have dips in that emotional roller coaster, just like you see in that red area. But the customer must be above that line before they're going to decide to purchase. And that's from the amount of information that you give to them and paying attention to the verbal and nonverbal communication of that person. Okay? Now, let's move into creating scarcity. Creating scarcity is a marketing technique that involves highlighting limited availability or a sense of urgency around a product or service to increase its perceived value and drive customer action. By making customers feel like they may miss out on an opportunity or have limited time to make a decision, the idea is to spur them into taking action sooner rather than later. Limited quality. You can use time based, it's only available for X amount of time. You can use exclusive promotions, only available to so many people. Pre orders, get on the waiting list now. And social proof, right? What people are actually saying online. What you really want to do is focus on the benefits. So many people tend to think about focusing on the features, When it's not about the features that people care about, it's more about the benefits. They want to know what's in it for them, right? So, one of the common mistakes that many professionals make in that sales process is focus solely on the features, as I mentioned. Instead, focus on the benefits. While the features can be helpful in describing what your product or service is, it's the benefits that will ultimately motivate your customers to move across the buying line and take action. Now, if you're talking to your perfect customer avatar with the ideal pain level, they will be looking for and wanting relief and a resolution to that pain. By properly showcasing the benefits of your solution, it will be like an IV drip into their subconscious mind as you take them on a journey from where they are now to where they desire to be using those benefits until finally they begin to see your vision as their own and align it with themselves. Now, target marketing, real quick. We're looking pretty good on time. The first rule of marketing is to sell products people want to buy to people who want to buy them. Identify who your target market is. Your perfect customer avatar is what I'm saying, right? Target audience is your perfect customer avatar. Avatar, what? Like the big blue guy on the movie, right? It's your perfect customer. And also what their pain points are. What are their goals? What are their motivations, right? What do they want out of life? You can use market research, surveys, interviews, or your own experience to create buyer personas for your specified niche and conversations, right? To find out what people are up to, find out what's going on in their life. Look, when we cut to brass tacks, you can't sell a steak to a vegetarian, okay? It's just not going to happen. Like I said before, you have to know your target market. Not everybody's going to be a customer. You can't market a product to someone who does not have the desire to consume it. You can't sell an opportunity to someone who isn't looking for one either. No matter how perfect you think you would be, they would be, or how much money you think they could make. You can't sell that opportunity if they're not looking. In our industry, we have two target markets that we have to think about. The first is our potential business partners. And then, secondly, well, first off, this target market consists of one primary group of people, which is other network marketers, right? People that already understand the industry, people who buy products and services related to building a network marketing business. Network marketers are opportunity buyers, meaning that they are actively buying what you sell. They understand the network marketing industry, so you don't have to spend time explaining basic concepts and the business model. What do I say? What do I mean by that? Well, if you're already selling to people that are network marketers, they get it, they understand it. You're not going to convince somebody that's a hardcore 9 to 5 person to understand that the industry works. You just have to work it like a real job, right? That being said, they are also experienced enough to know what it takes, work, and application to build a successful network marketing business. It is essential to make the distinction between opportunity buyers and opportunity seekers. An opportunity seeker is anyone looking for a quick fix to their current problem. Nothing more than someone who filled out a survey and raised their hand to say, I would like to earn an extra money. There are specific ways of marketing to opportunity seekers, but don't be lulled into thinking that this is your prime market for business partners. Target opportunity buyers for the greatest chance of success. The second target market consists of our product customers. However, we also need to be laser focused when targeting our product customers. Let's use an example, a nutrition based company. Most people would think that their target market consists of people who have health issues, right? This is true to a point, but we can get and want to get even more specific than that. How about people who have health concerns and who actually spend money each month on health products? These people are your true target market. So, how do you find these people? Well, people who have acid reflux, for example, currently buy prescription medication for it and are between the ages of 30 and 60. If you have a nutrition product that helps relieve acid reflux, then those are specific people that you want to market to, not your Uncle Bob, unless, of course, he has acid reflux, right? Now, just remember the difference between people who simply inquire about your offer and those who are already spending money on something similar. That is called target marketing. Okay, that's where we come in with the difference there. And it's a key factor for your marketing efforts. Clearly identifying your target market is a major step to achieving success in any business. Network marketing is no exception. Now I'm going to get into basic scripting, and then I believe that we're just about done. So appreciate you all paying attention and taking notes. It's important for your success. So basic scripting, remember I went and I told you about learning this presentation and then saying it verbatim to everybody. This is the basic scripting that I've come up with. Break it down super simple for everybody. Okay, your first step or part is going to be your introduction. Second is the body or what it is that you're talking to that person about. Third is what I call the check back, as I had mentioned to you before. Hopefully you took notes. That's that question says, does that make sense? And then the fourth is the close. So I was going to have an introduction. Hi, my name is Robert, and you are so and so. Oh, great. Well, I was just talking to some of your neighbors over here. Or I was just registering everybody here. Or I was just this. I was just that. That's my body of the presentation. I'm going to explain why it is that I want them to come on board, and I'm going to check back with them. I'm going to say, does that make sense? They say yes. Great. When's the best time to get started? You can throw that in there if you want. Number 4 is the close. What is my close? Where do I go? And I take them to my close. Great. So here's the link to sign up as an example, right? So basic scripting, you need to have these 4 elements in it. You have to write it down, sit down, write out a script. These are the elements that you need. Okay. Here is the fill in the blanks example. Hi, my name is blank. What's happened now is this is a good lead in to the body of the presentation. This should be solving the pain of the marketplace, right? Talking about what's happened now because of this, right? And then when it comes to your check back is, does that make sense? And then the close is go to so and so or ask that question. Right? When's the best time to get started? Well, now, great. Go to xyzwebsite.com. Right? Don't sit there and keep talking. Okay? Get them to the checkout. Lastly, appeal to emotions. Right? Take your prospect on a journey by using storytelling and emotional appeals to engage your audience on a deeper level. Tap into their desires, their fears, their aspirations to create a memorable impact for them. Right? It's got to be emotional. Use the social proof. People are more likely to buy when they see that others have had positive experiences. Share testimonials and success stories to demonstrate the value of your product or service. Social proof also spills over into third-party validation. By using third party, you can create quick trust, and your potential customer suddenly will have more faith in you and the things that you're saying. Never lie about third party or social proof. Like I can go and say, well, because of this one business, I have a relationship with the owner. I've known him for X amount of years. Really good guy, really great opportunity. You should join. Right? Be truthful about it all. Last thing I believe that's on the list is follow up because most of us really suck at this. But when I say follow up, first off, you can't rely on a single interaction to close this deal, even though I can close many deals on the first single interaction. I can teach you how to close people into your network marketing business within 6 minutes to 45, 50 minutes, if that. Okay. On the first interaction. But it takes some time and skill set and understanding. Remember me telling you I didn't understand it and get it at first? Took me some time. Following up with potential customers in a timely manner, offering additional information, or addressing any lingering doubts is important. If you learn how to do these things that I'm teaching, though, you're going to have less follow up because more people are coming to you. That makes sense? Like, if you go and you present the right offer to the right people, they say yes, well, then there's no follow up, right? Make sense? But if you're following up I don't mean, hey, what did you think of that video I sent you? Or, did you click on the link I sent you to see the offer? That's not what I mean. Right? Look, we will tell on ourselves. Given the situation and opportunity, every single time we will tell on ourselves. What do you mean by that, Robert? I mean that if we ultimately have an honest bone in our body and we were given a video to watch and we didn't watch it, I don't need you coming and asking me or bothering me or hindering me and say, did you watch that video that I sent you? Right? Think about that for just a moment. Damn, is that how I sound? Could be to somebody's mind, and it could be a severe turnoff, right? Instead, all I'm going to do is just see how they're doing. Hey, how's it going? How's your day going so far? What's going on? I'm not even going to mention the video. I'm not going to mention the link that they didn't take a look at. Guess what will happen? They're going to tell on themselves. They're going to feel good because you didn't like just look at them as a number. And they're going to tell on themselves and say, oh man, bro, I got so busy last night I didn't even get to watch that video, or I didn't get to look at that link. All the pressure is taken off of you now. So instead of you being that nitpicking, nagging person following up, like a lot of the gurus teach you out there, which is absolutely absurd, your mission is just to say hi. That's it. Let the psychology do the work. Let them tell on themselves, and they can feel bad because subconsciously they know that they didn't get around to taking a look at the information that they asked for. But again, on the flip side of things, if you learn these things and you close them on that first time, or maybe you have to set up a presentation even that second time, then there's no more follow up after that, boys and girls. Right? It's done. They're in your business. So we just discussed that. Here's the end goal: connect people to their dreams. That's really it, right? It sounds so easy, Robert. Give them the blueprints. And what I mean by that is being able to take them from this process that I'm explaining and teaching you, and teaching them how to work it in such a fashion that they build their network marketing company so that it does get them to whatever their dream is. Whether it's making 3,000 a month, 5,000 a month, 10,000 a month or more, the end all is to give them the blueprint, right, on how it's done. This is what I'm giving to you guys now. This is a huge, huge blueprint that starts at the very beginning of your journey. So I want to thank you all for hanging out with me. If you got some value, drop a 5 in the chat area there. If you're watching on a replay, make sure you put replay. But before you go, and also if you got some value, leave us a comment in the Facebook group. If you got some value from this presentation, if you're watching on YouTube, feel free to share it in the description. Once I get this all uploaded and taken care of, you'll see what's going on over here and our latest offer, what we're doing. All of this information was given to you free, but we do want to recognize the Top Producer Bootcamp. If you want to come road crawl with us, starts tomorrow. Goes from March 18th to the 22nd. It's an in-depth Top Producer Bootcamp. We talk more about the sales psychology that I just exposed you to. Talk more and get deep into personal branding, also into social media strategies, and the beautiful thing that I love to call rejection-free marketing. Again, so that you're just not getting all those no's and getting more yeses. So, sales psychology, personal branding, really deep into social media strategies, rejection-free marketing. We get deep into all this stuff. In fact, a little bit more about the boot camp that we have. Day one, it's what I call starting from scratch. This is all the stuff that you really should know beyond what I just taught you. Like that's the baby league here that I just taught you. This is the next step stuff, right? Starting from scratch, all the stuff that you should know before you get started. Day two, we go into colors, fonts, and stuff, the psychology behind it all. What makes a person buy when it comes to those different sales fonts and colors, and just everything, just deep dive into the psychology of that stuff. Day 3, we go into UVP, customer avatar. Talk to you about finding your people, how to create those avatars, and literally start manifesting those people to come to you. It's a crazy thing how it really works. And, day 4, we go into hero story. Talk to you and teach you how to craft and create your elevator pitch, your hero story, and ultimately putting your story together so that you can put it out there the right way. Day 5, social media strategy is what I call it. I'm going to take you from what you're doing now, being a little average, to savage. Plus a little bonus on how to market rejection free, right? As I was talking about before. If you know these tactics or techniques or whatever you want to talk to, call them, and you can close people within the first or second visit, then you're really um, not having to do follow up, and it's rejection free, so it works. It's pretty neat to learn. I would highly recommend it, no matter what level that you're at, whether you're beginner or even 40 years in the business like myself. Man, I bet you think it's $9.97 for you to join this boot camp, but it's not. So don't freak out. It's not $9.97. I'm not even charging $497. Not today, my friends. But I will tell you this: the price is going up to $197 next month. This is the last month to take availability of my kindness and generosity. I have a $50 coupon to help everybody out because I said that I would. And the price then becomes $147 one time out of pocket. This is what I like to call an open door boot camp ticket. So what that simply means is that you buy it once and you can keep coming back every single month. So yes, every single month, and we've been doing this now for 5, 6 months now. I'm going to continue to do this every single month. So you'll be able to come back as many times as you want until the information finally kicks in, until you get your shit together. I jokingly and lovingly say that. And you know what you're talking about, right? In order for you to take advantage of that boot camp that starts tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, it's streamed into the group that we have, a private Facebook group. You can go to goldticket.now.site. You'll see a little bit of information there. When you go to checkout, make sure you use top 50. It'll show you a little promo code area. Use top 50, hit apply, and that will bring your ticket price from 197 to 147. Again, this is the last month that I'm going to be offering that moving forward every single month, 197 if you're brand new. So get in now before you have to pay more later. You know how that works. Scarcity and all that other fun stuff we just talked about. So that's it. 5-day top producer boot camp, starting from scratch. All the stuff you need to know, colors and fonts, psychology behind it, the UVP, customer avatar, finding your people, hero story, elevator pitch, crafting your story, social media savagery, taking you from average to savage, how to market rejection free. Each day is 2 hours at least. Plus we do Q&A. So I'm investing over, I'd say about 12 hours plus these 2 hours here, 14 hours into your success. And it continues every single month. Okay. So I think that the value is beyond comparison. And I know that I could charge $497 or even $997 for these boot camps. But I know that then more people wouldn't be able to take advantage of it, especially the ones that need it. So go to goldticket.now.site, get your ticket now. We'll see you in boot camp tomorrow. We're going to stop the live stream and open it up for questions and answers. Appreciate each and every one of you guys being here. See you on the next one. Toot toot, love you. Bye bye. All right. Looks like we are clear.
Okay. Was that person that was on earlier? Is she signed up to do your boot camp?
Who?
The one that was on earlier, is she? There was three of us. Besides you, it was Me and another person.
Oh, I don't know without looking. I think that it was, I did have an AI assistant in there as well.
Oh, that's what it
Um,
was.
yeah, could be that. I'm not sure. I
So,
want to see real quick here.
so I have my friend Evelyn Sakugawa supposed to be in this class, but she's taking another class right now, and it's running into this one. So
I see.
next one,
Yeah, no worries.
unless she enrolled.
Let me see here.
You have an Evelyn Sakugawa.
Oh, I don't know. Let me see. Give me one minute. I won't know that until I check my back office here. Let me stop the stream here. Looks like we're still streaming on YouTube. One moment, please. End stream. There you go. So we do. So it shows me as live here.